Hello, and welcome to another episode of Just Scare Us Already, the podcast where we discuss horror movies, both old and new, give our opinion, and continue to find movies that will scare us. I'm your host, Cheyenne, with my co host, Dave.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back.
And today we are going to be discussing another one of our subgenres. So don't forget to give us a like and a subscribe. But for now, let's get into it.
Yeah, so it's been a pretty quiet couple of weeks. It looked like we were inundated with new horror films for the month of February, but now it seems like things have drastically slowed down. So we're going to continue to look at the different genres and subgenres of the horror film industry. So for this week, we decided to take a look at the paranormal genre, and more specifically, the subgenre witches and occult, and discuss three of our favorite witch and or occult related horror films. So with that being said, let's dive into it and see if any of our picks will conjure up some of your favorites as well. So Shai, what's your number three on your list?
So my number three is a movie from 2014. It's called A Dark Song. It can be watched on AMC Plus. It's directed and written by Liam Gavin, starring Catherine Walker and Steve Oram. Sophia has rented a house in the middle of nowhere in Wales, and she has paid extra money so that no questions were asked. Her only companion will be Michael Solomon, an occultist who must help Sophia contact her deceased son. This movie is a slow burn of a movie. I saw it like a long time ago, I want to say, when it was on Netflix. And then I've watched it a few times since. And each time I very much enjoy this movie. It's one that you kind of have to pay attention to. Catherine Walker does a great job of a grieving mother who has her secrets. Uh, the whole time you're watching it, she is playing the part of just wants to hear her son for the last time. He died when he was 7, and she has just felt empty ever since. Disconnected herself from her family. Literally tells her sister at one point, like, "Don't talk to me, don't come near me, whatever. Like, I have a mission, basically." And Steve Oram is an interesting character as the occultist. He is clearly knowledgeable in what he does, but every now and then you kind of question as an audience whether or not he's actually trying to help her or if he's just messing with her, because some of the things he does is borderline torture. And so I thought that it was overall really cool. It's just the two of them for majority of the movie, which I do enjoy. I like movies that are set in one space, few characters, and just kind of dives into the psychology of them. And of course, as the occult ritual ramps up, all the things happening within the house are ramping up. She's trying to contact a guardian angel, but obviously there are demons that are also entering into the world through these occult acts, as well as trying to tempt her into messing up. But all in all, I think this movie is really good. It's really fun to watch. Like I said, it's a bit slower. It's one that you kind of have to pay attention to fully understand and grasp the whole consequences of the movie. But well worth the watch, I would say.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I don't think I've ever watched that one. I've seen it while, flipping through various movies to watch, but never watched it. So it sounds interesting.
I would say it's good. It's pretty good. It's definitely, like I said, slower. It doesn't have a ton of scares until closer to the ending of the movie. Um, but I think that it's really an interesting one to see the lengths a mom would go to for what she's trying to achieve.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I definitely have to give that one a watch.
But what about you? What's your number three?
Okay, my number three is 2018's Pie Wacket. Stars Laura Holden and Nicole Munoz, directed by Adam McDonald. So the film is basically about a frustrated, angst-ridden teenage girl who awakens something in the woods when she naively performs an occult ritual to evoke a witch to kill her mother. So this one I actually had overlooked several times. I thought the name was weird. Pie Wacket. It almost
No,
sounded like something,
definitely.
yeah, comical. Um, but actually, it's a real name that's related to witches, and it's a form of a witch.
Mhm.
And so I finally decided, since we were doing the witch and occult films, to give it a try, and I actually liked it. It's also a slow burn. There aren't a whole lot of scares in it, but the story, I think, it does well enough to keep you interested, and you kind of want to find out exactly what this girl, um, the daughter, is willing to do. But the majority of the story is basically about a mother and a daughter trying to cope with the death of the father. The mother
Mhm.
is kind of torn. She's grief stricken, and so she's drinking a lot. And when she drinks, she's an angry drunk. So she takes it out on the daughter. And then the next morning, she's hugs and kisses and wants to make pancakes. So the daughter is torn because she's like, I don't know which mom I'm going to come home to. Is it going to be the mean mom or the nice mom? And so the mother finally decides, hey, we got to move from this house. This house reminds me too much of your father. And so they move to a house that's like out in by the woods. So then, of course, this girl, she's kind of gothic. She's into the screamo music and stuff like that. So her and her friends are always talking about the occult, and they're fans of the occult and you know, rituals and stuff like that. So, of course, one day she gets mad enough to try and do one of these rituals, and unfortunately, brings nothing but terror into their life. So, yeah, definitely a good watch.
Mhm.
It's available on AMC Plus. So, yeah, if you haven't watched it, you should give it a shot.
I have watched that one actually. I
Okay.
don't remember it too well. I'm sure once I look at the trailer, I probably will. But I know
Hmm.
I've seen it for sure. But yeah, I'm like you. I kind of went over that movie a lot, overlooked it because it reminded me of the movie Grim Cuddy, like the naming of
Hmm.
it reminded me of
Hmm.
Grim Cuddy. And Grim Cuddy, if you have seen it, is not a good movie.
Right.
Not a bad movie, but not a good movie. And so I kept pushing it off. But yeah, I think it's a pretty good movie. And I can relate to being a kid who was very much into the occult, screamo music, wearing all
Hmm.
black. But hey,
Oh
I never
yeah,
brought a demon witch into our household, so you're welcome.
yeah, that we know of. But I think the majority of people can relate to at one time or another, saying I hate you and I hope you die,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So you get mad at your parents, and you don't really understand the words you're saying,
Hmm.
until I think you really grow up, and then you're like, wow, that was pretty dark.
I'm not even just that. I just feel like you don't realize, like the cliche, you don't realize what your parents do for you until you're
Hmm.
older, yada, 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 that kind of stuff. I
Right.
can admit when you're wrong. So, but, just don't bring in occult demons into the mix
Yeah.
and I think you'll be safe.
Eh, exactly. Be careful what you play with.
Well, my number two for our movies of witches is The Wretched from 2019. This one can also be found on AMC Plus. It was directed and written by Brett and Drew T. Pierce and starring John Paul Howard and Piper Curta. It follows a defiant teenage boy who is struggling with his parents' imminent divorce when he faces off with a 1,000-year-old witch who has possessed the neighbor next door. This movie, I was surprised how much I actually liked it. It's very much, I wouldn't say like a family movie, but I think slightly older little kids, like 12 and up, could watch this movie and not get too scared of it. There's some scenes for sure that are freaky. And I think that the way they did the witch was really cool in this movie. She's just a creepy, like ring style movements, crawling on the floor type of creature who literally lives within the skin of its victims I shouldn't say of its victims, but can take the skin of someone and become them. And I thought
Mhm.
that that was a really cool aspect of it. At first, I was kind of like, "Oh, is this a witch movie?" Because it felt kind of like monster, like skinwalker type. But I guess it's more like Baba Yaga, where she does feast on children to continue to live. And what I like about it, and this isn't a big spoiler or anything, but I like that when she takes a kid, she can erase the memory of this kid from the people in its life. Typically, the family members only seem to be affected by it because other people seem to remember them. But it's still a really cool concept in general that you're following these characters and they're slowly forgetting different family members as this witch is just going through this town and just wreaking havoc. Overall, I thought it was really fun. The actors, John Paul Howard and Piper Curda, I haven't seen them in anything else, but I thought that they did a solid job in this movie of just like fun summer teens who stumble into this mess. It felt kind of like Monster Summer minus the older, father figure type character, but in terms of
Mhm.
like young kids going on this adventure, trying to solve a mystery. Like I said, a bit more of like a Goosebumps, younger kid type of film, but with, I would say, decent moments in it that are kind of creepy and kind of have you like, ugh, that's a creepy witch. But I think it's really cool. I like this. I wouldn't say subtle hints at who it is, but it doesn't feel like it comes out of left field like we've experienced recently in a few movies. Um, I think you can guess the who the witch is if you're watching the movie and you pay attention enough. It's not too bad of a reveal or anything. And then of
Mhm.
course the ending leaves it a bit on a depressing or cliffhanger, and I do enjoy that, of course. So I did like that aspect of it. But overall, I thought that this movie is just, in general, it's just a fun watch and a good take on a witch. I like new versions of witches every now and then. And like I said, this one going back to like a Baba Yaga style witch or, like the witch in the movie The Witch, where the whole premise is feasting on children. I like that. I think that it's enjoyable than just like cursing people.
Okay. Yeah, I believe I did see that movie a long time ago. So it's not very fresh on my mind, but yeah, I do remember it being a pretty decent movie.
Yeah, yeah, it's a good one. So yeah, definitely give it a watch if you have AMC Plus.
All right.
And what
Yeah.
about you?
So my number two is 2016's Don't Knock Twice, which stars
Good one.
Katie Sackhoff and Lucy Boynton, and is directed by Caradog W. James. So this movie is basically about a mother looking to reconnect with her estranged daughter. However, her daughter has, under a dare, goes and knocks on what the town folk, the neighborhood folks believe the house belonged to a witch. So the premise is if you knock once, you awaken her, and if you knock twice, she'll come for you. So of course it's a dare, and in the past they dared a young friend to do it. He did it and wound up being murdered. So everyone's afraid of the house. Everyone tries to stay away. The house is boarded up. And then, of course, her and her friend, they go and they knock on the door, and sure enough, she brings this demonic witch to their home. Um, the movie, I like this movie a lot. It has some good tense moments. It's not super scary. However, there are a few scenes in it that I think would scare younger viewers. So it's definitely not a Goosebumps story or anything like that. Oddly enough, they also refer to this demon as Yaga. So it seems like that's kind of the trend with these witch films. But yeah, overall, a really good movie. I like the acting in it. I thought the daughter and the mother do a good job in the film. and the ending is your type of ending. It's not a all rainbows and unicorns ending. So definitely a good watch though.
Is this the movie with the artist woman? Like she's a sculptor of some sort?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, it
She's a
is the one I thought it
sculptor.
was. Yeah, it's a good one. I like the
Hmm.
ending of it. I always think those are two separate movies for some reason in my head. Like I
Oh,
split the
really?
movie for some reason in my head into two different ones. Because every time I watch it, I go, oh yeah, this is the same movie. And I like it a lot. I think it's a very good one. I've seen it a few times now, and I agree. There are some good scares in it. I think there's a peephole scene. Is there
Yeah,
one? A peep.
Peephole.
Yeah, where one
Yeah,
of
I
the
think
friends who's haunted.
I yeah, I think so. I
Because I
don't
think
remember
there
the
is,
top
and
of my
this
head.
that scene kind of made me feel a little tense, if I'm not
Okay.
mistaken. I watch a lot of movies back to back when I watch movies, but I'm
Hmm.
pretty sure that's in that one, and it had a little bit of a tense moment. So definitely not scary, but I could see some people who don't watch a lot of scary movies,
Hmm.
flinching at a few scenes.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely.
But yeah, definitely a great choice. Well, my number one for Witches movie, and this was a hard choice. I went back and forth with A, my order of these movies, and B, whether or not I wanted to add in certain other ones.
Hmm.
But I'll mention them in our honorable mentions, and I'll probably find room for them in another in another video. But my number one is The Influence or La Influencia from 2014 on Netflix. This one was directed by Dennis Rivera and starring Manuela Velas, Claudia Placer, and Emma Suarez. Back in her childhood home to care for her dying mother, Alicia is forced to face a past she thought she buried and an evil force inside the house when her daughter Nora is being influenced by her comatose mother. This movie was a surprising gem for me. It's a Spanish movie. I don't know why I thought it was surprising. Spanish movies have always been good, in my opinion, when it comes to horror. They just do a really good job. But this one is a Spanish film, and it is both family trauma mixed with insane occultist, crazy, abusive, horrible mother. So basically, Alicia has left her home. She has never been back. Her husband doesn't even know of her mom, like, doesn't know her mom at all, never met her. As soon as she could leave, she left, leaving her younger sister to care for her mom and stuck within this sort of trauma filled world. And so now that her mom's in a coma and dying, Alicia has been asked back since she's a nurse. Uh, Her sister figures she can help her more with taking care of the mom so that they're not spending all the money on a home and a stay home nurse. And so, coming here, bringing her daughter for the first time, the daughter starts to go through the grandmother's items, finding all these different occult things, including a locket that allows the comatose mother to influence Nora in different ways to do worse and worse things, hoping to eventually take over her body to live forever. And I thought that this was so cool. The way it was done was it was really well done. It keeps the tension up the whole movie. There's not really any slow points. Maybe one part at the beginning's a little slow, obviously, when they're introducing the characters and they're exploring the house and all that kind of stuff. But it ramps up from there, like right off the bat. Nora starts going through a whole bunch of weird moments and crazy dreams. The daughter is dealing with having these memories come back of her mom abusing her and her sister with her rituals, because the mom has this obsession with living forever. And so, of course, she's like using her children to kind of experiment with different things. And she has blocked it out from her memory. And as it just goes on, it gets worse and worse for the whole family. And it just ends in such a great, messed up ending that you just go, God damn, this grandmother is horrible. I hate her. It's so good. They never redeem her. They never make her sympathetic. She is just a horrible, horrible villain. And I do love that in a movie. So this one I think is definitely worth the watch. It has, obviously, since a Netflix original, they do a lot of they have a lot of options for language. And this one is dubbed in English with subtitles and everything. But really, really well worth the watch. The acting in it was, it's good when you watch in Spanish. Again, when you have voiceovers, sometimes the emotional aspects of it, I don't think always translate too well. So there
Mm,
was definitely moments of that where I went, okay, you do not sound scared or sad, especially the child actor.
mm,
But in the face wise, they did a great job.
okay. Yeah, I'm gonna have to check that one out. I'm not a big fan on foreign films because
Oh, you are missing
sometimes they're
out.
well, sometimes they're for me, I watch a movie, but when it's subtitled, I tend to pay more attention to the words than the
Uh-huh.
action on the screen. So sometimes I feel like I miss things because I'm busy looking at the words.
I get that. No, I do get that. That's why I don't watch a lot of things that aren't dubbed anymore.
Mm,
I also tend to forget I don't speak the language when I'm listening to it for some reason. And I stop paying attention because I watch everything with subtitles. So sometimes I don't pay attention to subtitles when they're
mhm.
on the screen. So even if I don't know the language, my brain just stops focusing. But I would say you are missing out. Spanish horror movies, oh, they have so many good ones.
Yeah,
And most of them
yeah,
you can find dubbed nowadays.
yeah. I have watched a few of them. You know, like The Orphanage and Veronica. So yeah,
Paralicia, Sister
yeah,
Death,
yeah. So
Wreck.
there's been quite a few that I have sat through and watched. But yeah, again, I focus more on the words, the subtitles,
Yeah.
and I agree with you when it's dubbed. Sometimes the translation doesn't carry over as well.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah,
Well, give this one a watch. I think it's very much worth it.
cool. Yeah, definitely. All right, so my number one is 2016's The Autopsy of Jane Doe, which stars
Great.
Emil Hirsch and Brian Cox, and directed by Andre Overdahl. So this film is basically about a father and son who own a mortuary or morgue. They're also the coroners of this town, and they're brought this young, beautiful Jane Doe to investigate and find out how she died and whatever else they can find on her. So while they're doing the autopsy, they start to discover all these weird things, and the more they uncover, the creepier it gets, and of course, the more the the evil presence begins to wreak havoc on them in their small morgue. This film, uh, truly like this film a lot. I've watched it several times. I have to say, probably the best performer in the movie is Owen Catherine Kelly, who plays the young lady that's laying there naked on the autopsy table. This woman is phenomenal. I mean, for her to be able to lay there still as a dead person, not you can't tell she's breathing, she's not making any type of movements or anything. It's that's phenomenal, and
Hmm.
while researching some fun facts about this film, it actually the majority of the movie is her. They,
Oh,
they do use some prosthetics, for
wow.
certain scenes, but yeah, for the majority of the movie, it's this woman laying there.
That is very impressive then. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and if you know anything about movie making, there's more than just the actors. There's the camera people. There's the sound people. There's a lot of people just standing around. And so for her to lay there nude, that takes a lot of a lot of guts. So
Yeah.
give her an Academy Award. But
For that.
But the movie itself, though, again, great movie. Has some very tense moments, very freaky
Phenomenal.
scenes. Yeah, I really enjoy this movie a lot, and when they start to unravel the different pieces, it's really interesting, and you're kind of caught up into it. You're like, oh man, what else are they going to find, and what is all this connecting to? And again, one of your type of endings, so I'm sure
Definitely.
I'm sure you love this movie for that.
I
But yeah,
do.
definitely a great watch. I like this movie a lot.
It's phenomenal. I think it's on. I think we mentioned it on our hidden gems. I want to say, uh, it might have been hidden gems, but this is one of my top movies in general.
Hmm. Yeah,
I
I think
adore
we
this
did mention
movie.
this on Hidden Gems, and it's definitely was listed on our 31 Days of Halloween.
Yeah, definitely. I love this movie so much. I think it's leaving soon from Netflix, so definitely get your watch of it before it leaves. I don't know where it's going to be going next.
Well, it's also available on AMC Plus, so
Oh, perfect. Well, then there you go. Once
you
it
can
leaves
catch
Netflix.
up on it together. Now, a quick fun fact about the movies that we called out. Besides your last one, The Influence, um, all five of our picks were all distributed by IFC Midnight.
I like IFC Midnight a lot. I've realized in watching a lot of movies, it's one that
Hmm.
I'm usually like, this is a safe production company for me to
Hmm.
go. This is good. Gravitas Venturas, like for instance, is one that is hit
Stay
or miss.
away from. Yeah.
Well, I would say it's hit or miss. Anchor Bay is stay away from for sure.
Yeah, they can have some bad ones. I
They
feel the same
usually
way
have bad ones.
about Quiver. They're
Quiver has
usually,
been
yeah.
but IFC Midnight
Hmm.
usually a stronghold, and a lot of our movies can be found on AMC Plus. So we're not getting paid by them. I wish we were, but it's well worth the add on
Subscription.
to if you have Amazon Prime and the subscription. It has such good choices,
Oh
and
yeah.
especially because it has Shutter under them, I guess, or
Hmm.
it has access to Shutter. I don't know how their connection works, because I know Shutter is its own thing as well. But you can watch a lot of Shutter originals through AMC Plus, which has also been a blessing.
Yeah, yeah, they definitely have a huge selection of horror films. So if you're a horror buff like us, I'm definitely you could definitely find something every day, something new every day to watch.
Every single day. And so now for our honorable mentions. Um, and I'm gonna also add in two dishonorable mentions. So my dishonorable mentions that I saw on every list that I pulled up was The Witch. Don't like it. Sorry, Anya Taylor Joy. I love you very much. Horrible movie. I tried watching it again. I really tried. I cannot get into that movie
Hmm.
at all. Second one is Hagasusa. That was also on the list of everything. You can find it on Prime Video.
Hmm.
Boring, just so boring. It's just that it's such a boring movie. There's some scenes in it that are slightly like, oh, okay, that's a little scary, but like it's just such a boring watch to get to those parts. So those are my dishonorable mentions. I had to. On a brighter note, my honorable mentions are The Old Ways on Netflix. This movie follows a journalist who travels to her hometown in, they never really say where, but somewhere South America, and goes to a ruin called La Boca that is forbidden for anyone to go to because it is believed that no one comes out of La Boca. And if they do, they most likely have a demon in them. I did not add this one to the list only because it's more of a possession movie. There's a bruja in it who's trying to help her, but the main crux of the movie is whatever is inside of her, whatever demon has gone into her. But it's a good watch. I think it's very well done. It has really cool scenes in it, some creepy scenes. But yeah, so that's why that one didn't make the list. And then She Will, which is also on AMC Plus and Shutter. This one follows an aging actress who is going through an illness and wants to just kind of be reclusive with her home nurse, goes on a retreat to a middle of nowhere forest, ends up being a retreat with a lot of other people that she did not expect to be there. And as this whole thing is happening, she's having dreams of witches, and her own internal feminine magic is awakening. This is very much a feminist movie, very anti-men, great for female rage. But I wouldn't say that it's the best movie ever. It's just a fun one, especially if you are going through a lot of feminine rage right now. Uh, it's a good one to kind of just get your rage out and by watching. So I thought it was well done, well acted, and had really interesting things that it was discussing.
Okay. Cool.
What about
Cool.
you? Any honorable mentions or dishonorable mentions?
Um, no, I didn't. I didn't have anything in particular that was dishonorable. I mean, I can name some films that are pretty horrible, but I won't go into that. But as far as honorable mention, I did have one film that I recently watched that I was tossing up having on my list, but decided to go with a different movie, and that was the House of the Devil.
Uh-huh.
This one, it's not a great movie, and the whole occult twist in it doesn't really reveal itself until the end, and then you're kind of like, huh, you know. But I think the director did a great job of trying to get that '80s vibe
Hmm.
for a scary movie. It kind of played like an '80s movie, although it wasn't made in the '80s. Um, the acting was okay, but it basically spent a lot of time just focusing on this one character. She's hired to babysit, although there is no baby, so she's basically house sitting.
Okay.
Um, and so the majority of the film is her roaming around the house and trying to keep herself entertained while she's waiting for the couple to get back. And then, like I said, then it evolves into this occult type movie that doesn't really, make a whole lot of sense. And the ending was just kind of what are you talking about? you know. So again, it's a decent watch, but when I really compared the two, I was like, yeah, maybe this wouldn't make my top three. Probably be like somewhere down near top 10, top 15, something like
Hmm.
that. Yeah.
That was another one I had seen on a lot of lists, and luckily you had on your list originally, so I took it off my list to watch, so I didn't bother watching it. But
Okay.
maybe I'll check it out at some point. Well, that is our list of our top three witch and occult movies that we watched this time around. If you have any that you like or any that you are excited that is going to be coming out, let us know down in the comments below. Don't forget to give us a like and follow us on all of our social media so you can keep up to date with what we are going to be putting out. And until next time, we will continue to try to find something that will scare us. Bye.
Bye, everyone.